I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees, regular meeting, October 23rd, 2023. Clerk Kornecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano.
Here.
Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Trustee Corkery. Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We remain standing, and I'm going to do this from memory. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have a meaningful discussions of items that will affect the village, our residents, our staff. Please watch over us, have us meaningful discussions in one name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, next item is public comments on agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, we have Jennifer Gruchowski for item 13B.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Gruchowski, Villa Park resident for 15 years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I also want to thank the board for getting this brought to the agenda for tonight's meeting. I would like to ask that it be backdated to September 20th when we follow through with repairs that the Village of Villa Park imposed on us for our sewer. The repair for the cost of installation of our new sewer was $7,380. In addition, we were required to pay a $300 and $50 village permit fee to complete the work. We did ask to get it waived due to the unusual nature of the situation, but was denied. The total work was $7,730. The village has a program for reimbursement for expenses like this for residents, up to $1,000. Since you have to pay your own in-house fee, it's really only $650. The village needs to do more to support residents on these unexpected and literally buried expenses. It's antiquated and well below the cost of repairs in today's environment and now falls well below surrounding communities and similar programs. We are here tonight to ask the village to update their reimbursement policy and to help their residents. The village allowed this connection to happen before we moved in. I wanted to note that per Village Manager Harline's email back on September 1st, he stated that he pledged in his email that if we made repairs to our sewer line before they changed the reimbursement policy, we will be eligible for full reimbursement under the new policy. We did submit the reimbursement paperwork at the end of July. The City of Lombard does have a reimbursement policy that will pay remaining costs of up to a maximum of $5,000, which is 600% more than neighboring towns with comparable property taxes. We would like to ask about the progress on any new reimbursement policies. Again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, I have no one
Okay,
else.
anyone else like to speak on agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments?
I do.
Trustee Cordova.
I would like to move item 12 to, or following 4. So that is comments on non-agenda items, public comments on non-agenda items.
Okay, we have a motion to move item 12 to after item 4. We have a second? Trustee Patrick, or Trustee Corkery, or Kozar? Didn't get one of you guys. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, roll call on moving item 12 to after item 4.
Okay, Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, I do have one other a change, and this is regarding 13C, the discussion regarding the loan and approving the budget for Sugar Creek Golf Course. The Manager Harline and I have spoken about this, and we do not have complete information yet on this item, so we'd like to table that, hopefully to our next meeting. Since we aren't going to make any resolutions on this tonight, we will just move it. I won't make it a date certain, but hopefully we'll get it on the next board meeting. Manager, do you want to say anything on that, or?
No, we're just Sugar Creek Golf Course, we need some more information about the precise amount of the debt that was going to be deferred or forgiven, and some other things like what capital list they have, that sort of thing. We don't have that yet, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other amendment? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to make a motion to table 13C.
Yeah, we don't have to, according to our attorney, we don't have to do that, since it's a, we're not going to be voting on anything tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will move to item 12, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
I do. I have Kevin Grachowski on non-agenda.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. My name is Kevin Grachowski. I'm a resident of Villa Park for the past 15 years. You might be aware of our family situation, as my wife just spoke a few minutes ago. We are currently dealing with a sewer reconnection issue that most of you have received communication from myself or my wife, either through email or through phone calls. So I'm here to speak about the code violation notification process. I had some questions, and I wanted to put some things out there and see if I can possibly get a response back at some point. So dealing with this situation on July 6th, we did have a Public Works employee drop off a piece of paper called a field inspection report. They informed us they needed our full names and our email addresses sent to them. We've been in communication with this employee for quite some time, going back to January, but in July was the first time they asked for phone numbers and emails. On July 11th, we went on vacation, and when we returned, there was a not approved for occupancy sticker on our front door, which to me means there was a code violation and we're not allowed to actually be in our residence. The problem was we never received a code violation or any type of notice or any citation or anything official from the Village of Villa Park. Just a red sticker on our door saying you cannot reside in these premises. Of course, as you can imagine, this upset us greatly. We came back from actually we got a text from a neighbor saying there was a notice on our door. When we returned to our house, of course, we were worried about that we were living in a place we were not allowed to be, because it does state very clearly, this is a law. If you remove this item, or if you are inside that residence, it is against the law. So we called Public Works and set up a meeting on July 14th. At that meeting is the first time we received notification of any code that was violated and what that violation of the code was. And when we asked why we were receiving this now, they said, well, we were trying to be gentlemanly and treat it with respect. What we wanted was a notice that we violated a code, so we knew exactly what we had to repair. At this meeting on July 14th is also the first time we received an actual plan of work of what needed to be corrected so that we were able to take care of that issue. So my first question was, I'm not really sure what practice of Villa Park, not approved for occupancy stickers is, but that doesn't seem realistic to me, that you come back with a red sticker on your door without receiving any code violation in the first place.
30 seconds.
Thank you. The second thing on my list was just communication and some City Hall resident response services. I know my wife and I, we are very much sent several emails, and we've sent many emails to trustees as well as village offices. We've heard back from trustees. We've not heard back from any village office president or village manager. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And also Jennifer, again, Grachowski would like to speak.
Thank you. Jennifer Grachowski, resident of Villa Park. So the City Hall response service levels. During the interactions with Public Works, I was notified about grants to help residents with expenses such as our sewer. I emailed you Village Manager Harline and CC'd Village Manager Couzone on the 14th and also on the 20th, and spoke at the board meeting. No one has responded or provided information on discretionary funds or grants available. Additionally, the contact from Home of DuPage told me about a one-time emergency assistance plan for sewer issues. In every email that I sent, I asked for them to please get back to us by email or phone call, and left both mine and my husband's phone number. It has been almost a month. I have not received an email or a phone call to discuss, neither myself or my husband. Just wanted to know the written process and expected response timeline for a request of this nature, especially when it has a $7,000 bill attached to it. Code violations. When we bought our home in November of 2008, we were not notified at the time of purchase that our home sewer line was not in compliance with code. There was no required disclosure of said code violation mandated by the village. Code violations like this should be grandfathered in for current residents unless material updates are being made on the property that impact said services. And for sellers of homes moving forward, it should be mandated to disclose as part of the sales process. After all, the village requires a village inspection as part of the home sales process. The compliance inspection closing bill request forms should all now include sewer connections from homeowners. We are proud to live in Villa Park. We have 4 children, we have a wonderful community, we're very active and involved, but we are a single-family income. A code violation that we had no knowledge of for 15 years and with no issues impacting our home is devastating to our financial security. We are fully aware that the connection occurred years before this board. However, it can't be denied that the village approved this to happen. Due to their negligence or lack of standard practices, however you look at it, we are now responsible for hefty repairs when our house has no backup sewer issues. We should not be solely responsible to pay for this expense, and we are continuing to ask for help and have a fair resolution. In closing, I think it's time that our city looks into changing policies, increases reimbursement plans, and helps protect homeowners from this before they buy a house and make sure that every home has their own connection.
30 seconds.
And I would appreciate a response back on my inquiries about grants and other funds to help offset this financial burden. Your residents, including us, deserve better. I'm speaking for myself, other residents, and those who can't speak up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No one else.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak on non-agenda items? Okay. That we will move to item 5A is a proclamation recognizing School Board Members' Day on November 15th, 2023. And whereas school board members are responsible for providing leadership that ensures a clear, shared vision of public education for their schools, that sets high standards for the education of all students, and requires the effective and efficient operation of their districts. And whereas school board members are entrusted with the guardianship and wise expenditure of tax dollars and are responsible for maintaining and preserving the buildings, grounds, and other areas of the school district that the community has put in their trust. And whereas school boards are elected to represent both the interests of students and taxpayers and work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members. And whereas school board members selflessly donate countless hours to public service without compensation. And whereas the Village of Villa Park is fortunate to have dedicated school board members serving at its school districts who are committed to building partnerships across the village for the betterment of our community. Now therefore, I, Nick Cazzone, President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim November 15th, 2023 as School Board Members' Day in the Village of Villa Park, and urge all residents to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members. And I would like to also send out my thank you to all of our school board members. It's a lot of times it's a thankless job, and they work hard to keep the school districts running, and a lot of times don't get the gratitude they deserve. But I'd like to thank all of our school board members from all of our schools here in Villa Park. Okay, we move on to item 6A, which is a presentation of our audit that was just recently completed. Chuck Howard is our Director of Finance here, and I'm sure he would just love to speak on this.
I will. And I'll be speaking from our completed now audit report. I know it's 193 pages, and I'm sure that all of you have probably not looked at each individual page, but it's there. There's a lot of information there about our current operations, a lot of historical things in there, and also some historical things about how Villa Park operates. One thing that's in there is our audit report from Sickage, and they say in their audit report that they have a There's a fair presentation of the financial position of governmental activities, business-type activities, and major funds, and giving us an unqualified opinion, which is the objective to this reporting and what we all want to see, and that will hold us in good stead to the community and to all the regulators and the people we respond to. One thing that is in this year's audit is a change in accounting principle, GASB statement number 87, leases. So what they went in and looked at and made adjustments to our lease agreements. The pronouncement says that now we have to record a lease asset and a liability for lease, and that adjustment is in this audit report, so you'll see those things in there. We have a right-to-use asset and a lease liability. The big portion of and the basis for my discussion right now is the management discussion and analysis. That's the MD&A that's on MD&A pages 1 to 14. And it's a lot of information, but I'll kind of summarize what's in there, at least some of the line items. The big thing is the overall net position. Our net position improved by $8,387,415 over 2021, which is very good, from $40,892,233 to $49,279,648. All that said, we've got some, at the end of 2022, some unspent dollars for the rec center that we'll be spending down. So that reflection is still in there. We've been doing it this year, and we won't have that there going forward. We also have an increase in our net pension liability at the end of 2022. We went from $38,192,540 to $49,943,97, and most of that is probably reflected in the value of pension assets at the end of 22. We all know what was happening. Pension assets took a hit, as a lot of assets did that are market-based, and if we were to look now, we certainly are in a better shape, but at the end of 22, that was the case. Looking at governmental funds, our ending fund balance in governmental funds, again, $48,816,500 or $752 versus $7,344,885. The number of days of general fund expense that we always measure ourselves by was 154. Our normal is, again, 90 days or so. We've got the cash that is affecting that. So, you know, if we were to look now, and I don't know what that number is right now, it's in, you know, it's somewhere in between there. And at the end of 23, we're going to see a different number. So just so you see that, our debt obligations increased a bit. We have more of the IEPA loans, which aren't general obligation debt, but they're included in our debt number. And the unassigned corporate fund balance was $7,788,962, or 33% of total expenditures versus $6,643,692 in 2021. You'll see the basic financial statements, the statement of net position and statement of activities in the MD&A. These statements are written and displayed on the full accrual accounting basis, and that's the basis in which revenue is recognized in the year in which the entity earns a revenue, regardless of when we pay it or when those we expect, as long as it is measurable, and availability isn't a factor at all. Fund expenditures are recognized in the fiscal year where we incur a liability, so adjustments are needed for accrual basis to ensure that the matching principle is followed. These statements are on the economic resource measurement focus, and this is a focus in which we measure all current and non-current assets, all short-term and long-term liabilities, and we record depreciation and amortization as a cost of operations. The general fund balance sheet, just going over a few numbers there. The government fund balance, $48,816,752. That includes general fund, debt service fund, street improvement fund, and other capital project funds, and those non-major governmental funds. There's the statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. You can see all the detail of all those funds, the general fund, the debt service, the street improvement, other capital non-major. I have all these written here. I won't bore you with numbers that I love, but I think you can see those there. I would take a look at that, going through the different types of funds, which are the net position on the proprietary funds, and those proprietary funds are water supply, wastewater, and swim pool. And I know we've talked about that in the budget process of what funds are included in our proprietary funds, but you can see the net position in water supply at 16,825,667, wastewater 18,673,617, and the pool at 519,590 or 582. And also, I made a note here, the statement of revenue and expenses in these funds. Again, a lot of numbers. I won't go through all of them, but you can take a look there, just looking at some of the items there, the beginning net position, if you wanted to look at that versus the net position that I just stated. For water supply was 16,805, wastewater 17,979, 973, swimming pool was 539,707 for a total of 35,324,937. So you can take a look at those. You can take a look at the decrease in pension liabilities. And as I said, pension assets took a hit. Our beginning net position was $66,656,795. The ending was $55,350,529. That's a net decrease of $11 million. So those assets are at the end of '22 were affected. And again, we have rebounded here in '23. So these are all things that we take into consideration as we move from the financial statements to the budget module and what we're going to share costs with to offset these decreases. So that's a summary of a lot of numbers, which anybody who wants to talk numbers can come to my office. We can talk about them. Any questions that the board would have, I certainly will. If I've not spoken to them, they're not written here, then I'll research them for you.
Okay.
Questions? Any
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Well, thank you, and I thank your staff too. You know, it's been a long getting this thing done, but you guys worked hard,
and we're
thank you.
hoping to come up with a better process to get through some of the client-prepared things that our auditors require of us in more expedient fashion. We won't be in our first year of this new leasing pronouncement restatement, so we've got a tool that we use there. We won't have to revisit these agreements, and it'll all come together, I think, a little bit quicker, and we'll be talking about this a little bit earlier in the year.
Good, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 7, the consent agenda. Item 7A is a bill listing from the weeks of October 9th and October 16th, 2023, in a total amount of $462,402.10. And 7B, approval of minutes from the committee of the whole meeting and the regular meeting of the village board from October 9th, 2023, and the minutes from the special meeting of the village board on October 16th, 2023. And item 7C is approval of the minutes from the Coffee with the Board meeting from October 7th, 2023. And do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kozar?
Second.
Okay. Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yeah.
President Kazel?
Yes. Item 8 is reappointment to commissions. We have none tonight, correct? Okay, move on to item 9A. Is an ordinance amending section 2-406 of the municipal code, order of business for meetings. Manager Harling.
At the direction of the Board of Trustees, an ordinance has been prepared to amend Section 2-406. This ordinance, if passed, moves comments on non-agenda items toward the beginning of the meeting and adds sections for new business, old business, and institutes other changes that have been made informally over the past several years. If the board agrees with the proposed changes, staff would recommend passage of the ordinance at first or second reading. If the board wants to amend the ordinance, staff recommends passing amendments tonight and bringing the ordinance back for final adoption on November 13th. I think that the process of giving 2 readings on changes to the code is a good one. So, probably 2 readings on this ordinance on the order of business would be appropriate. However, if this is something that the board wants to see get and put in place quickly, staff has no objection to that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Corby?
Do you do motions for first reading?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Okay. No, we don't. That's right, because we're doing first reading, yeah. Okay. Any discussion on this? Trustee Kozar?
Yeah, the only thing we're changing here is the order of the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I mean, I'm not missing anything here. So that said, I'd like to make a motion to waive the first reading.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So we have a motion to waive the first reading on this ordinance. Do we have a second? Trustee Cordova? Any questions or comments on that? Okay. We just do a vote, right? Yeah. Okay. Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay. So now we need a motion on the ordinance itself. Trustee Corkery? May we have a second? Trustee Alfano? Okay. Questions or comments on the ordinance itself?
Can I just provide?
Sure. Go ahead.
Just for some clarification, really this is just changing the order of the agenda, but it does also provide some clarification as requested by the board at the last meeting with respect to specifically new business, where it clarifies when the board can add things to certain agendas, either of the upcoming village board meetings or the upcoming committee of the whole. So it provides clarification there. It also adds, and this is not a substantive change, but it identifies that the consent agenda may also include additional items, not just the minutes and the bill listings, but other items as approved via the village code as already set forth. So that's item 7C on this new agenda that you see here. And so that will allow for other items permitted under the village code to be approved via the consent agenda. And those are just standard, those would be normally standard items that would not anticipate any discussion or debate by the village board. So you may see that in the future, some additional items added to the consent agenda. With the consent agenda process, if all you need to do to remove an item from the consent agenda is just simply say. It doesn't require a motion or a second by any member of the village board. Any member can say, I'd like an item removed from the consent agenda, and it will be automatically removed, so you can have discussion.
Do we do that at the,
Trustee Cordova?
yeah. Would that happen in item 4 or when
No.
consent agenda comes?
When the consent agenda comes.
Got
So
it.
when you're considering the consent agenda, you can say, I'd like to remove it from the consent.
Perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, any other, Trustee Alfano?
I do have a question about 12 with new business, 12A, addition of agenda items. Would those addition of agenda items take place here in those meetings, or would that be something that we would discuss and send to the manager and the village president first to put on that agenda 12A? That's what I need clarity on.
Okay, sure.
So during the meeting, under item 12A, you would either discuss items that the board would like on the agenda. This would allow the board to entertain a motion and a second to actually give board direction for a future item to be an item to be added at a future meeting. It won't be amending the current meeting agenda, but it will allow the board the authority to make an amendment to, or direct that an upcoming item.
Sure.
Or an item be on an upcoming agenda meeting.
Okay.
And so you can have the discussion under 12A, or you can actually take formal action under 12A now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Clerk Hronecki, please.
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so that will go into effect at our next board meeting.
It's actually effective now.
Effective. That's true. Okay. Okay, item 10A is resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing an agreement with High Level Promotions of St. Edward, Nebraska to secure sponsorships and naming rights for various areas within the village's recreation center. Manager Harline.
Staff has been investigating additional revenue streams for the recreation center to offset building and/or operational costs. High Level Promotions specializes in securing sponsors in a variety of sports, entertainment, and recreation facilities. The proposed agreement would allow High Level Promotions to solicit interest from potential sponsors and bring back to the village proposed naming rights package for approval. In the agreement as proposed, the village would receive 70% of the proceeds garnered from sponsorships. High Level would receive 30%. The gross sponsorships secured, although the resolution as written allows for negotiation on that and other items. The resolution is drafted, staff recommends approval of the resolution, and the only other thing I would add is that any other agreement, of course, would come back to this body. Our focus is on trying to get money to offset that $2 million capital gap between what we raised, the $10 million we received from the state, and the $7.5 million and other funds that we had set aside. $7.5 million is from the bond sale and other funds. So that is the main purpose. And actually, this company came to us first, and it's been vetted by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. So.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on the resolution? Trustee Corkery, we have a second. Trustee Cordova. Okay, any questions or comments? Trustee Alfano.
I wanted to make sure that we don't have to pay for anything up front, correct? This is
Correct.
something where when they get the work or we get a contract, then they take the money from that, correct?
Right, that's correct. Absolutely.
And then also, I wanted to thank the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission for putting the Lions Park Recreation Center rooms and program area issue, and I'm sure staff had something to do with that too. That was very clear and concise in that chart, so thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Hronecki, please.
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Okay. President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, looking forward to seeing some good contracts coming through.
My understanding is that they're on the trail of a pretty good one already, so.
Excellent. Okay, item 10B is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park authorizing the execution of agreement between the Village of Villa Park and CP Squared Consulting, Inc. for professional consulting services for the Villa Park Strategic Plan in an amount of $32,500. Manager Harline.
The village issued a request for proposals in July, and four proposals were received. CP2, or CP Squared LLC, submitted the best proposal, and staff recommends accepting their proposal and authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement with CP2 LLC for consulting services to update the strategic plan for the Village of Villa Park in the amount of $32,500. Corey Porschblatch is here from CP2. If you would like to, she'd like to, if we could give her the chance to introduce herself, and then if you have any questions.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion for the resolution. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make
Okay,
that
do we
motion.
have a second? Trustee Kumar?
I will second that motion.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me in. I'm very excited to be here. I'm not going to lie. I grew up at St. Charles and Main Street in Lombard, so I might take a little detour on the way home. It was very nice to come in. A little bit about me. I started my career as a 911 dispatcher. I really am passionate about public service. I literally came from the front lines all the way up. very excited to work with Villa Park on this project. Going through gathering stakeholder information, talking to the community, talking to multiple people, businesses, employees, and then working with you guys on actually developing a strategic plan all the way through implementation. Because a lot of times that's kind of where everything falls apart, is they've got a great strategic plan, but then how is it implemented? How are you able to actually make sure that you are achieving the goals that you've set forth? So I'm looking forward to working on the village, with the village on that. I'm happy to entertain any questions if you've got any.
Okay. Any questions? For-
Awesome. Thank you.
We're looking forward to working with you. Okay, Clerk Konecki.
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Item 10C is a resolution to approve the purchase of one 2023 GMC Acadia police vehicle through the Hagerty Auto Group located in Villa Park, Illinois, in the total amount of $37,977.83. Manager Hartline.
Staff recommends approval for the purchase of one 2023 GMC Acadia police vehicle to replace an aging detective car. Funds are available for the sale of from the sale of the 2018 Dodge Charger Hellcat, which we received net of $56,600. And the total purchase cost will be paid in the amount of $37,977.83 from that DUI Technology Capital Fund. This vehicle requires some additional police equipment, lights, sirens, et cetera, to be purchased later. Some equipment will be transferred from the surplus retired police vehicles. The staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make them.
Trustee Alfano, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Kozar? Okay, questions or comments? Okay, glad to see we got enough for that Charger. That was a good deal.
This was not anticipated in the original budget, but with the addition of, there have been a couple of accidents, and we also have had, we used to get a lot of our detective cars through seizure. We have not been able to do that for a number of years. We're beginning to maybe see that happen again sometime in the future, but that's why we have this unbudgeted request. So,
Thank you. Okay. Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
No.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, item 10D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the village's 2024 employee health insurance program. Manager Hartline.
Agreements with the village's medical, dental, vision, and life insurance plan providers expired at the end of the year, December 31, 2023. Staff recommends the village continue its agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois for employee retiree health insurance, effective January 1 to 2024, with an overall increase in 1.19% to premiums. BCB-SIL offered a 1% bundled discount for including coverage for dental, life insurance, voluntary life, short-term disability, critical illness, plus a $30,000 wellness credit. With this discount, staff is recommending moving the above ancillary lines with BCB-SIL, our Blue Cross Blue Shield. Vision will be moved to IMED. Employee wellness and employee assistance program will remain with their current providers. The overall estimated increase across all lines of coverage is 4.16%. Staff recommends approval of the 2024 benefit package. Suzanne McVeigh, who did the lion's share of all the negotiations on this, is here if you have any questions. But when you consider that the original package we saw was 14%, and then after some discussions, we were talking to department heads about including 9% in their annual budget increase. The 4.16% is a very welcome number.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Corkery, we have a second? Trustee Alfano? Questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
I have a question about the comparability of these plans. Are they comparable to the original plans?
I'll let you, I mean, I could answer it, but I'm trying to not talk all the time, so.
So our major medical is not changing. It's the same plans. We've had their grandfathered plans for HMO and PPO. Our dental and vision is essentially the same. We are getting rid of what we call sort of a DMO, so like an HMO for dental. We just haven't had a good experience with it lately. A lot of providers have been leaving that program, so we're offering a different small PPO that's a little bit lower cost and has some different benefits. But for the most part, it's the same. One thing we are changing this year is we are offering $50,000 in life insurance for employees. Right now, we offer 20, and that is significantly less than, I think, nearby communities. So we are increasing that and offering some benefits for employees on a voluntary basis.
And we do still have part of our grandfathered plan for the healthcare.
Yes, the HMO and the PPO. We have not let that go yet.
Yeah.
It's a really good plan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Oh, sorry. Trustee Kozar.
You don't have to go back up there. I just think you did a good job negotiating that down. That's a nice percentage, so good work.
Yeah, so we are very fortunate to work with Horton Group as our insurance brokers, and so they have very good relationships with our providers, which has worked out very well. The last 2 years, we actually had a decrease in premiums, so we thought we would get hit this year, so we've been very lucky.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Casson?
Yes. Okay, item 10E is a resolution approving an agreement with the Villa Park Youth Baseball. Manager Harline.
Although the youth baseball season is complete and the village has received payment from the Villa Park Youth Baseball Association in the amount of $15,000 as agreed to in principle at the beginning of the year, it is desirable for the village's records to have an agreement on file to explain the payment for the auditors. Youth baseball declined to enter into the three-party agreement with School District 45, and so this agreement is essentially the same agreement that the village and VPYBA have entered into every year for decades, but over a decade. Staff recommends approval of the agreement, and I think we have all the final language worked out with Villa Park Youth Baseball Association, and are ready to get their signature on it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Did not get that done before the meeting, though.
Okay, thanks. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar. Okay, questions or comments? Trustee Patrick.
I was just wondering if you could explain this a little bit. We used to have one type of agreement. What do we have now? They've separated from making an agreement with District 45.
This is so we've had almost exactly this agreement with youth baseball for years. This year, we decided to try and do a three-party agreement. Our attorney, Ms. Wolf, recommended that we do bilateral agreements one-to-one with youth baseball and D45, but D45 really wanted to see a three-party agreement. So we put together, after negotiation, including the access to D45 courts and et cetera, similar to what we'd had with the one-on-one with D45 before. Anyway, we put together the three-party agreement, and then youth baseball had a change in leadership, and the new leadership preferred not to have the agreement to sign into the three-party agreement. Their goal, as I understand it, and I hate to talk for anybody else, is to do some of their own field prep, like not the mowing and the major, weed killing and all that sort of stuff, but the drawing the foul lines, the finer work on the pitching mound, home plate, that kind of thing. And they want to set up some facilities, a shed at D45 fields, so they can do that. So they decided that they didn't want to sign the three-party agreement. So what we went and did was we grabbed the agreement that we used for years, didn't didn't vet it by the attorney really, because it's been the one we've used for years, sorry. And so but I want to have something on paper that there's a reason we took $15,000 from them for the auditors. But this is essentially the same agreement. The one party, the bilateral agreement that we've had with youth baseball for years.
So moving forward for the next season, Villa Park Youth Baseball will be signing this agreement with the village?
Well, there'll be an agreement. It may not be exactly this one, because there's some things that they want to talk about, there's some things we want to talk about. But the idea from moving forward would be an agreement one-to-one.
So then, does the village is going to plan on having an agreement with D45 as well? And then also with Villa Park Youth Baseball?
The only reason that the village would have an agreement with D45 for baseball would have to do with if they wanted us to be like a backup or something, and that would probably just be between the village, and then it would be between the village and D45. Now, we probably need one anyway, because we're going to still need access to their courts for some of the things that we do that won't fit. Even if we have the gym open for the entire fall, winter season, the amount of programming we do won't all fit into the recreation center.
Do you have any idea why they backed out of the original agreement?
Who's which?
Park Youth Baseball. You said that they pulled out of the original agreement that involved the village and D45.
They wanted to do their own field prep, and they didn't want to sign the three-party agreement.
That's all they wanted.
That's my understanding. I hate to talk on behalf of, but that's the way I understood it. Parks and Rec Director Gola is here, and he was involved in more of the discussions, but that's my understanding. It was because they wanted to do their own field prep, and they didn't want to.
My question to you then is what was our arrangement in that agreement with in the past? So if we're relying on this one moving forward on a year-to-year basis, what is the village obligated to do in that contract for Villa Park Youth Baseball?
Okay, so we would be going back actually to what we've always done, and it's just doing the field prep on our fields. Our agreement with youth baseball has been to do the prep on our fields, and then our agreement with D45 was to take, to work on their fields.
Okay. I apologize, I was getting confused when you were saying our fields, but I understand that the fields at Jefferson belong to D45. So is the plan moving forward that Villa Park Youth Baseball will not be utilizing the fields at Jefferson?
No, they would have an agreement with, or I assume they would work towards an agreement with D45. They want to put a shed on D45 fields.
Okay.
And then they want to do the work that we have been doing on those fields. Remember, a year ago, D45 took that over, and it didn't, my understanding is it didn't work so well. So this year we came back, and the idea was that the village would go back to what they did 2-3 years ago, when we did the field prep and some of what we did and the mowing of our fields. And D45 we can continue. I don't want to get too, but basically the agreement that was not signed by D45 was slightly different in that the village and, all three parties were in it, which is one of the big differences. And the other difference is that in the previous agreements that were just between the village and D45, we used to do most of the mowing on the D45 fields. So they were going to continue to take over that. But as far as youth baseball, it would have been about the same thing that they'd always had.
Okay, so moving forward then, the village is only going to be taking care of the fields that we own, which is High Ridge, the one on, is it Elm Street?
Yeah, Twin Lakes, Franklin, and then the field at Lions Park.
So,
assuming that's
and those are technically 2 fields, so a total of 4 fields, right?
Right.
Well, Twin Lakes has got 2.
Twin Lakes has got 2.
Oh, Twin Lakes does have 2.
Yeah. Lions is going to only have
No,
1.
Twin Lakes has
only
one.
has one.
Twin Lakes has 1, Lions Park has 1, High Ridge, and then Franklin.
Okay, Lions has one.
Lions has
Oh,
one
because
now.
of the new.
Right. Yeah, so we'll still have the one field over at Lions.
Okay, so is there going to be, what's the difference in cost to the village then, being that we are not going to be mowing D45s and doing the maintenance on those fields?
Well, it's a significant savings. We didn't mow this year and we didn't mow last year. But that ended when when we parted ways with D45. Our mowing D45's fields ended at that point, which is smart, and that's the way it should be. D45 can mow their own fields. They have the ability to mow grass. And so when we came back together to try to put the three-party agreement together, the village was going to do all the fine prep on all the fields and the basic maintenance, mowing, weed killing, that sort of thing on our fields. So now we would just do our fields, and the youth baseball is going to work it out with D45. Now, come March, we'll see if that's all worked out, but that's the current plan.
When was our last communication with the Villa Park Youth Baseball regarding this?
Yesterday or Friday, but go ahead.
We had a meeting probably a good month and a half ago with 4 representatives from youth baseball, and that's when they mentioned that they want to try to maintain the fields on their own. They think they have the volunteer manpower.
Yeah. Okay. And we've had conversations from that point. Last time we talked to them was this week about this agreement, and yeah, so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Reneke, please.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Item 10F is a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease termination and mutual release agreement by and between Deborah Zandrock and Eclipse Dog Grooming in the Village of Villa Park for the property commonly known as 110 South Villa Avenue, Villa Park, Illinois. Manager Harline.
At the direction of the board, by consensus, staff has prepared an agreement to buy out and terminate the existing lease with Eclipse Dog Grooming at 110 South Villa. Staff recommends passage of the resolution, and in the amount, the agreement is $50,000.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion for the resolution? Manager, giving them your job now. Trustee
Our
Patrick.
days.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Who was
Trustee
that?
Corkery.
Who was that? Trustee who? Patrick?
Kevin Patrick, I'm sorry. Okay, questions or comments on the resolution? Okay, Clerk Reneke, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, item 11, old business. I don't believe we have any old business. Item 12, public comments on non-agenda items. We already moved up. Item 13 is new business. 13A is practices and procedures for the Video Production Commission. Manager Harling.
Draft set of policies and procedures is presented to the Board of Trustees for discussion and direction to staff. Staff recommends a consensus vote to suggest edits and send the draft back to the Video Production Commission for comment and recommendation to the Board of Trustees for final adoption of new policies and procedures for the commission. The main focus that of the changes I made from the Video Production Commission sent to me was I want to make a clear, what I would like to do is set up something where there is an area where the commission can have the freedom to do what they want and work with other entities to do more public access stuff, but then reserve a significant amount of the time, like 50% of the time, for strictly village business that would have the village logo and would be meetings, a scroll of events and such that are coming up, and then features about what the village is doing, like the commercials about the LRS program. Now, one of the things the village could do is to contract with local companies to do some of those programs. That could be Suncom, that could be, and I don't remember the name of it, but the company that Al Stash runs, but we don't have that videographer on staff. We do have Donnie has a lot of talents, but that is not one of the ones he has, and that's a whole different set of talents. So that's, the first step is just kind of say, we need to make sure that there's a clear delineation between what is village and what isn't, so that I think Al Stash has a really good presence. He's no longer on the board for the commission, unfortunately, but some of the stuff that he's done with a little news program, well, I'd say little, but a news program he's done, I think that would be great. I think that would be better in the public access sphere, so we're not getting involved in trying to suggest what he should be doing, what he shouldn't be doing. In the public access sphere, he would have the ability, within the guidelines set up by the Video Production Commission, to get that sort of thing, get that sort of programming out there. So that's the thought behind it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone have any discussion? Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I really think that this is a good idea that the village can take moving forward. I believe that we do need help with more of our content generation that could be put out there, more of an awareness aspect to things, and just letting our residents know what's available to them and how to access some of those features. I agree with this, but my question to you is, has staff addressed the commission regarding your new set of...
No, this is to you first, to go back to them for I got it done this week, so.
So it was in March of last year, or
March
this
or April.
year,
Yep.
I believe, that the commission spent a lot of time formulating, first of all, the name change, but then second of all, the changes to what they think their operating procedures should be. And it was a time-consuming process that they took a lot of time. They are volunteers that did this. That was submitted to the village.
Yes.
And then it was also brought to my attention that their proposed changes were changed prior to the March meeting, and the board approved those, not knowing that the full extent of those changes. So what I'm asking, though, is that this definitely needs to be brought up by staff to the commission and talk about what they see as how they want to advise the board on these matters as well. Right now, you've also mentioned that Al Stash is no longer part of the commission. And those reasons I'm unclear as to this time, but I do know that there was a lot of work and effort put into those changes that they had proposed, and felt kind of let down after that. So I think it would do the village good that if we had staff come in and explain that to the commission of what you're trying to achieve and what those goals of the commission are as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it has been a long time since they made their recommendations, and there wasn't any crisis there. They were doing their job, and we need to recruit some new members, but it just took me a while to get this. There's other things that I got done first, and I apologize for the delay, but again, what they've been doing was not, yeah, so we'll come back to them. And
so my question is that what we passed in March and was approved by the board, why is that coming back tonight on new business here if it was already approved back in March? Are these corrections that you want to see made a part of the operating procedures and ordinance?
I believe what we passed in March was a change in the code to change the name and the basic, and the stuff that is, this is beyond the code, this is more in-depth, something that...
That is what they provided to you as well.
So the policies and procedures were not adopted by the Board of Trustees. The code was, and so this is a follow-up from that. So you guys are the ones to make the approval as to what goes into the policy. I'm happy to, the staff is happy to continue working with the village, with the Video Production Commission, and we'll take those.
What tonight is talking about the proposal for operating procedures then?
Yes. Yes, the code is not being changed. We're not suggesting changing the code.
Then I would definitely suggest that village staff meets with, I know that you have staff liaisons now?
Yes.
Okay. I would recommend that that staff liaison attend one of the meetings if they can, and...
I think they have been, but yes, we will continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
Okay. And as Trustee Patrick said, we are looking for a couple of people to be on that commission, so if you're interested in videotaping, or, I don't want to say video anymore, but if you're interested in that, you can put your application in. Trustee Cordova.
Do we currently have a board liaison on there, on that commission?
Well, Trustee Patrick.
Trustee Patrick, yeah.
Yeah. And again, I am the board liaison, but we have talked with the commission members about a lot of specific issues that have been happening regarding these policy procedures and the ordinance. And so that is why I'm recommending that staff come and interpret what the village manager is saying to the commission, so that way everybody is on the same page and has a clear indication of what we are responsible for, what the commission is supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Because that has not happened.
Okay.
Oh, and I thought we had a staff liaison. I know there's been a couple that got...
Well, no, what I mean is the communication between the staff liaison about what we're trying to do here with the commission. That's the conversation that needs to be had.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. And by the way, I think you're absolutely right in that we have a valuable resource here, not just the online, but the cable TV channel. I know there aren't that many people who watch it, but I think that it is a valuable resource, and I think that we could be utilizing it better.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
So the whole discussion is about bifurcating the whole video production into two separate kind of the village emblemed productions and public space productions. Is that, I'm kind of confused as to what you are actually doing.
It's what's called a PEG channel. So it's public access, educational, and governmental. Previously, we had only been looking at the governmental side, and we had there was concerns that things were going out that didn't have adequate vetting. But I think that there's a lot of creativity that can be stifled by doing everything under a governmental mantle. So the public access side, which would allow some, within the boundaries set up by the Village Video Production Commission, would allow for some programming that has been in no way, the only risk is a possible... for instance, if there are interviews done, like if there's a swim meet and they interview a kid and they don't get a release, although I think they had gone to getting releases, that's not much a big deal if it's a private public access channel program, like a news program. But if the news program is being done by the government because it's the government channel, then there's greater risk, and we have at times tried to get pretty. I don't want to get involved in interfering with that creative process, and I think we've kind of had that from time to time, the way we're operating now. So by making it clear that there's a public access segment and then a separate public access online material, then as long as the village logo wouldn't be there, it would be on our stuff, and we could free people up to do some of the stuff they want to do. That's my concept.
Okay, so we basically have quite a bit of space on this channel that's kind of sitting idle, and you're trying to use it in a creative way.
Right.
And hopefully get out some, good messages that are educational and purposeful for the village without actually the village doing it.
Right.
Is that Am I correct?
President Kazona. No, I keep answering without getting permission. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about doing. And the other thing is, on almost every other government channel I've ever seen, there is a set of slides on activities that are going on in the village, but we don't have that going. So like the upcoming events for the trick-or-treating on Villay Avenue.
There's like pictures that go through when this channel is dead.
Right.
You can have a rolling set of pictures, you know.
In events and things that are going on.
Trick or treat on Sunday, that rolls.
Board meeting, public hearing on the budget, that sort of thing.
I mean, I think that's a really good idea. I also think we could open that up also with the number of children that are very good at putting video production together in, at least at the high school level, and are putting their own news channel together. Get some input from them too. It would be a nice way to open up some great production opportunities.
Trustee Alfano.
To piggyback off of that, is this a commission where we could have junior commissioners? Or is that something that we just limit to the Fun Commission?
I have no objection. I mean, are you asking that as a legal thing, or are you asking as a...
Probably a legal thing, I would imagine.
I believe all of our commissions allow it, don't they? With the exception of, like, fire and police pensions, but I think most of it allows 4 junior members.
I would have to look at the code, but the code may allow it. You'd have to, identify the membership in the code, though.
Trustee Patrick.
Actually, we went through this process a while ago with the Fund Commission as well, and it has to be coded. So if we want junior members, what we would have to do is the commission would have to bring that up as a discussion topic in one of their meetings, and then they would have to make that recommendation to the board, and then we'd come back to the board and either approve it or not in a meeting. My question, though, for the manager, though, is reading through this in the revisions, you specifically say that you are solely responsible for the final content that is put out on the PEG channel. Is that correct?
That may be in there. I would think that would be, it really should be, the PEG channel should be the Video Production Commission. I'll take a look and see where is that in the, can you point to the page number?
I don't have that in front of me,
Okay.
but that is part of the attachment that was a part of the actually I could bring it up. It was part of the ordinance that was proposed, and it was part of one of the attachments that came with the agenda on the access portal. And my comment about that, though, is that while the village in there says that you have the sole responsibility of approving the final say of what goes on to our village social media platforms, I believe, what about the PEG channel?
Well, so the way I'm envisioning it, so are you talking about the third item or the last item in that, the ordinance 4337? Is it in there?
4337.
Yeah.
I don't have the actual document in front of me, but I do have snippets of this. Of the document.
In the packet on pages 250, can we talk afterwards? My goal is not to stop the PEG channel. There may be, and I'll have to look at the specific reference and talk to Attorney Wolf. There may be certain legal obligations that the village finally have control over it. Again, my goal is to allow us to give more freedom and have more of a public access.
Okay, so
component.
as this is a PEG channel, public education and government, those are the 3 areas in which that channel can cover content-wise.
Right.
And one of the issues that I was talking about earlier when we were talking about commissions here was that the commission was upset that the content that they wanted to create was not going to be allowed to be created and/or put on certain platforms. Now, I understand social media. However, the PEG channel can be different because the village, I don't believe, owns the PEG channel. I believe Comcast does. We're utilizing it free of charge from Comcast as well. It's actually AT&T UVerse Channel 99 and Comcast Channel 6. Now, I know that they have their own set of rules and regulations that that they adhere to with that. But with the premise of it being a PEG channel, public education and government, the commission should be able to create their own content based off of that without any, I would say, final approval from the village manager regarding the PEG channel itself. For example, when a commission member is invited to the state to interview her in the day in the life of an Illinois representative, they should be allowed to do that. That is not political whatsoever. That person is an elected official. And the content that wanted to be created was the day in the life of an Illinois representative, and that was shot down. And that is what created a lot of contention within the commission, caused resignations, caused people not to show up, and that is why we cannot create a quorum to get through some of this stuff. So I just want to make sure that the village has that meeting with the commission so that way everybody is on the same page, because we cannot operate a successful commission with that kind of hindrance. On top of that, though, is that I have been asking for a committee of the whole meeting to discuss our options as committees, to better utilize them. That still hasn't been put to committee of the whole. Now, you've also agreed with me earlier today that the commission here in question is a valuable resource, and we have not tapped into it yet. So if that's the case, we need to start empowering our commissions and making sure that they are given the opportunity to make those choices.
Okay, if I have a chance.
So I am recommending that we have that committee of the whole meeting regarding our commissions sooner rather than later.
That's going to be at our next meeting, at our next CLW meeting.
We're talking about that, though. And then also, I want the village to communicate with the remaining board members that might still be active, what their intent is, what your intent is for this moving forward. So that way everybody's on the same page. Because once we're on a level playing field and everybody's on the same page, there's no question about what there is to create content for or not. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Alfano.
I know that this public access channel has the government, the public access, and then the educational component. My question is, in the draft, the only definition that I can see of those three and the differences has to do with whether or not the logo is used or not. And I think that, going to Trustee Patrick's point, if we had some more definition of what might qualify as a public access, what might qualify as education, just to have more clarity there. I don't know if that's part of an FCC. I don't know how any of that works. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But maybe some clarity in that regard might help. And then also, my other question is, government-wise, would that also include DuPage and state and federal as well as local? Okay.
Trustee Kumar.
Okay, so it looks like this channel is being used for multiple purposes. We've been using it as the village for our own, getting the information out to our residents. My question is, basically, I see the value to all three parts of these, and using all of the three parts, I can agree with the manager, but how are you going to split who uses what, how, when, and how? Because that seems like, there is some space. It can be content, it's content weak right now, but it could get really content strong in the other direction as well. So how are we going to figure that out? Is there a process for that?
So the way I look at that is that's why we have a Video Protection Commission, and what I put in the proposed policy was to have at least half of that, minimum of 50% of the physical time. So there's a boundary on cable TV. There's 24 hours in a day, there's 7 days in a week. Those are the boundaries. When it comes to what you put on a online presence, that boundary goes away. But the stuff on the government channel would be either primarily village material, or it could be state or relevant county information, or the water commission or something like that, as long as it's a governmental entity. The day in the life of the legislator, I would think to be the safest place would be to put it on the public access channel. That's in the public access website, because I guess that stop didn't happen. That could be very useful information, but that is a partisan office that is elected, and I don't know exactly how that ended up not happening. I know that there was some concern. We've tried to get some definitions on what our actual, liability on some of these things is. The better policy is just to put those in a part of the either the internet or on channel 6, channel 13. That is clearly not the opinions, et cetera, of the village. That way, there's no risk to the village, or minimize the risk to the village, and we get the quality program that you've been describing. So that's my way to get both things done.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
And I understand that it was just that specific project was said no to completely on no platform. Second of all, I'm going to request that our village attorney look into the definitions and or just the law regarding the PEG channel, because I also believe that the public has access to create their own content to put on that channel as well. So there needs to be a process or somebody that could vet that as well if you're not doing it or somebody else is doing it.
Agreed. Right now on the city's channel, there's a lot of stuff about the Argonne National Laboratories and NASA and some stuff that's fascinating. It's government, but it's not what you and I would want to put on there.
Have you seen it before?
What do you mean? I turn on our TV channel with about once a week to see what's on there.
The little content that you do see on there is way much more than it used to be 2 years ago. Al Stash reinvented the commission. He put so much time and effort into that, and that was one of the little aspects that he did there. Instead of a blank screen or a green screen that had the village logo on there, he was the one that went into the system and was able to put in commercials, PSAs, announcements like that. So the little amount that you see right now, even though the Argonne National Lab things, it's a lot more than what we had. There is a lot of potential with this channel to utilize, so that way we could get information out to our residents. But I think we need a little bit more clarity on who can post access or who can post content, who's allowed to. Is the general public allowed to create content and submit it to the channel? I believe they are, but I'm not sure. And then also, who is going to vet that information if we're worried about potential litigation? So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Manager Harlan was concerned about, is potential litigation on a lot of this. To make sure that whatever's going on that website, whoever's creating it and whoever's putting it on there, that's not opening the village up for that.
Well, I think we all understand that, but again, then when you have a group of volunteers that want to create special content and then they're rejected outright and don't have any platform to put it on, it gets confusing. People don't know what we're supposed to do, what their operating procedures are, even though they spent time and effort and months putting that together a long time ago, and it's just now being addressed. So I think we really need to look at the law regarding public access.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
I would like to see in the next meeting, at least from the Video Production Commission, some kind of tabular form of what the, all on one page of what each part of this is and who it should be doing what, or where the commission decides, where the manager decides, so on and so forth. It can be a tree that we just see, you go here, you go, the manager decides, whatever. Because I think the lack of clarity is because there's no place to look it up. So something that really clarifies, okay, this is the public access, this is how much we're gonna do, and if this happens, you go here, if you go that side, you go to the manager, if not, go to the commission. I think that's the problem. I think there's just communication here that's an issue, yes.
Go ahead.
From a decision-making standpoint, the commission is solely a recommending body, so there will be no decisions made by the commission. There will be recommendations made by the commission, but ultimately decisions are either made by the village manager or the village board.
Okay.
Trustee O'Fonnell.
I would be interested for staff to reach out to neighboring communities. I know in the community that I teach in, I am a music teacher, and we often will have our concerts on the public access channel, and we do have to have the parents sign a waiver, but that is something that is put on public access, and kids like to look at themselves and hear themselves, and parents enjoy that too. So I know that there are other ways that neighboring communities are utilizing their own access, so I'd be interested to know what they're doing.
Trustee Patrick.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, we have a member here of the Villa Park Youth Flag Football League. The Villa Park Youth Flag football team has doubled in size over the last year. They've generated a lot of interest. There's a lot of kids. I believe I even read in the news that flag football is going to become an Olympic sport in either 2025 or 2028. So this is a big deal, and Villa Park is spearheading this program in the entire state of Illinois. Willowbrook is doing a lot to add to that as well with their girls program, going to state, winning it last year, going back again this year. We are going to have a lot of attention around especially flag football in the upcoming years. Part of the benefit of having a video production commission could help us promote that, and Villa Park can become on the map, known for flag football. This is one of the benefits of utilizing a commission effectively and how we grow our community and give back to the community. So that is why I'm so adamant about having our COW meeting about our commissions. Next month, you said, at our COW meeting, but I've been trying to have this for a while now. We are severely underutilizing our commissions, and all we need to do is make a slight change, because examples like the Flag Football League are going to put us on the map for some things. And you know what? When we are on the map for something, that draws attention. People want to come to Villa Park, not just people to come live, businesses want to be here. Economic growth will come from something as simple as empowering our commissions like the Video Production Commission, so that way we can assist our community in leagues like the Flag Football League. This is very important. We can do this. We should be doing this. And so that is why I'm asking for clarification on PEG channel. That's why I'm asking for the meeting in the COW, and so that way we could start tackling some of this head on. We are in a very, very unique time in Villa Park history where our economic development is outrageously good. We have some amazing things coming down the pipeline, and we need to take advantage of that every step of the way, every way that we can. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, let's Trustee Kumar.
I absolutely agree. We can put the rest of this main discussion off till the cow, because I'm sure we're going to address some of the stuff I'm talking about with the taping, the various sports in town. The advantage of that is any information that you get out, even about your village, gets more watched if you put other things on the channel. If your kid is playing flag football, just seeing those highlights again, or sending them to grandpa and grandma is going to make a big difference in terms of, well, at that same time, there's a cross benefit, right? You play the flag football, and then you see the villages having, I don't know, Autumn Fest or the joyful traditions. What you forgot then also gets into your mind. So it's like, it's basically a real good advantage that a good resource we haven't actually taken really good advantage of in any sense. And I feel that is true. I have to agree with Kevin with a lot of our commissions. They have a lot of potential. All the people who come out, they have a lot of potential to add to Villa Park in some way or form. It's their time and energy they're given. We just haven't actually clearly given them the ability to do that, or the clear say on that. So that's something I think we should really address. Now, not that they haven't been doing a fabulous job already. Many of our commissions have done a really fabulous job. They're really working hard. They're great people. But it's always nice to give a rejuvenation to the commissions at hand.
Okay, thanks. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 7B, is the discussion regarding a sewer rehabilitation program. Manager Highline.
Staff has prepared a draft of two specific policy recommendations. The first is to update and enhance the sewer rehabilitation program by increasing the reimbursement amount, eliminating the once-in-a-lifetime clause, and other edits. The second is to add a second independent program to encourage upgrading to old properties to the modern building code with a quote-unquote overhead system from one that runs under the foundation of the house. Staff recommends draft ordinances to enact the proposed updates be produced after the board and after discussion in any further direction.
Okay. Thank you.
And Director Guerra has prepared a brief slide presentation about the proposed changes to the sewer rehabilitation program, which also involves some of the research we've done on other villages and what they actually offer. So.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good board. I figured some pictures and charts are a little bit easier to understand. Understanding that sewers, especially sanitary sewers, is not maybe understandable by a lot of public. So there has been already some discussion tonight, but just as a point of reference, this is what we typically have in our village. I did steal that from another community. The photo, I think, is from the Roselle program. But it kind of demonstrates majority of the sanitary sewers in Villa Park. Being an older community, a lot of the sewers, as you can see, kind of come down the middle. They go underneath the bottom of the basement, underneath the footing, and out to the main. So this creates a lot of backups. If you lived in Villa Park, historically on combination sewers, when it rains a whole lot, sewers have a tendency to fill with water. We do have a lot of what's called I&I, inflow and infiltration. Here in Villa Park, per our code, we own the main, and we own the factory T. So if there's a factory T in there, that's your common Y. We maintain that. Some of the older homes, they just would break the side of the pipe, stick the pipe in, mortar it up, and call it good. Those we do not own. And then it's on the resident to maintain the remainder of the lateral to the house. So currently, I think it's been discussed a little bit tonight, our current program, and I think it's been around for several years, dating back, I think the last update was 2014. There's been some discussions, but we allow a 50% reimbursement up to the lifetime maximum of $1,000 for residents or a building. And that includes several things. It includes building sewer repair and upgrades, so that's actually repairs out in the parkway for the sewers that may have been damaged, maybe break, you have trees. That includes an installation of what's called a clean and check valve. That's a backflow preventer to help prevent water going backwards up the sanitary. That's allowed on the combination sewers when they surge during heavy rain events. And then part of the EPA, most people have heard the Clean Water Act, is the elimination of surface water into the sanitary sewers, or otherwise also known as I&I. A lot of that in-source here in Villa Park is through footing drains. You can kind of maybe see that. A lot of the footings are drained with a perforated pipe that drain into the old sanitary, goes into our water, and it causes issues. And so we do allow for corrections to that, and that would also be your sump pumps in your basement. In the olden days, used to be connected to those sanitary drains. And additionally, if you go through this program, the village does do restoration in the parkway, so that includes replacement of the concrete for sidewalk, curb, or pavement, and then the parkway restoration, which is significant savings a lot of the times for residents. This is maybe a little bit hard to see on there. This is a chart of our program dating back to 2018 in utilization, and then some of the average costs. So if you can see over the years, for the last 5 years, we budgeted about $40,000 with the $1,000 reimbursement. That's about 40 programs that we can offer per year. Lately, it's been dwindling, with a lot of them still being sewer repair, and then the I&I separation, that is a requirement by our village code to be the inspection that was referred to earlier. That inspection is to look at the homes for fresh water entering into our sanitary sewers. That's what they're looking for. So they're looking for sump pump connections. They're looking for if we can determine area or floor drains, and then area storm drains outside. A common one in our village is the exterior door to the basement. Those stairwells are exposed. There's a drain at the bottom so it doesn't flood. That goes in the store. It goes into the sanitary sewer. So to do those separations, that is what our I&I inspection is referring to, and that's included in this program. Compared to some other communities, Lombard has a few different programs. They offer 75% up to $1,000 for an interior-exterior check valve. Seems a little different because most people do the second one, which is the clean and check. That is the valve that you commonly see in the front yard. You might see a pipe stick up. It's either a clean out or a clean and check in some properties where it prevents that backflow. And then they have a max of $5,000 for an overhead sewer. And I can explain the overhead sewer here in a little bit, but basic terms is that's taking and converting your house to the new plumbing regulations. We actually redoing your lateral and the plumbing in your house to meet what the current code is if you build a new house. Elmhurst offers 50% reimbursement, up to $3,000 for an interior and exterior check valve, and again, 50% up to $5,000 for an overhead sewer. And I did have Roselle, and I did not put a slide. Roselle has a similar program, and I think they go up to $3,000 for a check valve, and then $5,000 for an overhead sewer installation. There are some other villages, so each village handles sanitary sewers a little bit differently. And some villages do have the lateral up to the edge of right-of-way. So the manager had to take a look. So the last 4 years, looking back at our permits, we've averaged about 75 permits for sewer repairs in the right-of-way. I would anticipate if the village took it over, that would jump in terms of the number of repairs in the right-of-way, because several people rod their sewers, they get the roots clean, and there's some problems, but it's still flowing, and due to the cost, they leave it probably unreported to the village. The average cost of those repairs are $9,400. Similar, if the village took this over, we have to pay prevailing wage, which is usually higher than what the average homeowner would have to get, as they don't have to go through that prevailing wage requirements. So the estimated total that I would think it would take to our budget would be an extra $1 million, and that's probably conservative on the low side, which would be a 71% increase to our budget. Additionally, we would look at replacement of all the laterals, which at our current one, based on our last numbers, would be about $8,000 per block. Oh, sorry, average about 24 services per block at $8,000 a piece is what we pay on our current ones, about $8,000 for that. We do not charge the residents $8,000 in our program. We charge them just the cost of the pipe with the reduction of the $1,000 currently is how we offer that. So if we were to incorporate that, you're looking at least a $2 per 1,000 gallon rate increase, which is a significant increase. I think our current rate is $3.85 per 1,000 gallons, so nearly double. So what am I proposing? If you were here in May, which some of you were not, some of you were as trustees, is to create a few different programs, separate them out a little bit to offer a little bit more flexibility and a lot more options for our residents. The first one is to separate off the I&I. I&I is usually a little bit less expensive. as it's usually can be done internally in the house with less disruption in terms of digging, heavy equipment. And we've seen that those costs are still around 3 to 4, depending on the complexity. And so at the $1,000 is a little bit low, and so we would anticipate that we should increase it to up to $1,500 to be a little bit more responsive in terms of what we've seen in cost increase. We'd probably still keep this as a lifetime, one time, because once you separate your house, theoretically, you're not connecting them back. And if you are, it's an illegal connection, and it would never pass permit, so it would be done illegal work. So we think if you separate it one time, you should be, that building should be good in terms of that requirement per the village code. The second one, as stated, a lot of the costs have been increasing over the last several years, so the $1,000 for any exterior improvements are low and are not in compliant or not competitive with other communities. So what we're asking is to increase the participation up to $3,500. Additionally, we've had some changes over the years where we allowed certain things that we no longer allow now. So some homes took advantage several years ago. We do have several pending applications currently where they were denied because they've already reached the maximum, but it was done like 15, 20 years ago by the homeowner where they maybe did a spot repair on a little section of their sewer, and now another spot is bad. They didn't replace the majority. So then we are suggesting that we create a lifetime reimbursement up to $5,000, so that after 15 years, knowing that trees grow in, there's other things that can occur, that there might need opportunity that additional repairs are needed and to allow for a second reimbursement. And then so what that would be is also with the check valves. This is an example of the check valves that we talked about earlier. As you come out, there's usually, this is a clean and check, where one's a check valve where it prevents the water backing up, and the other one's a clean out. So that way, if you do need to clean your sewers, there's an exterior port outside your house that plumbers and sanitary sewer contractors can come and flush your lines, use root cutters, and do video inspection if needed. Which is a lot easier than coming in your house, having to remove a toilet, or some of those other functions that may be required if you do not have clean outs available to your house. So then we would also be looking, I know the manager said 2 programs, so one would be the I&I, the second one would be the sewer reimbursement. And then in that sewer reimbursement, I would propose that to be competitive with the other villages, is the creation of an overhead sewer conversion program. I would probably suggest to keep that as a separate program and not include it towards the $5,000 in the lifetime of the house, but include up to 75% up to $5,000. These are very costly because you are looking at replumbing the interior of your house. This is kind of an example of that. Again, I borrowed the image from Roselle's program. But as you can kind of see, that dashed line on the bottom is that first photo that we saw this evening, and then this would be converting that sewer to be underneath the first floor, running out through the exterior foundation wall at a higher elevation. I believe the Illinois plumbing code would have to be like 3 feet 4 inches below the bottom floor, or the bottom of the floor joist. What this does is makes hydraulics, so it makes it nearly impossible for the sewer main to back up high enough to push it back into your home. So this is the most effective way to prevent backups into your home. However, it's also probably the most costly compared to a clean and check. These are probably in your $3,000 to $5,000 range for install, where these are, probably in the $10,000 range, depending on how your sewers are connected into your house currently. Each home is plumbed differently, so there's no set, general guidelines. But that is what we're proposing. Like I said, several of you returning board members, trustees, we talked about this a few times. I think this may be the 3rd time that I've talked about it, but this was talked about in May, but we'd like to look at this moving into next year's budget so that we can appropriate funds responsibly in next year's budget for these programs. Additionally, I think it was asked to date back to September. We were actually proposing to date back to June. Since this was first brought up in May, we thought it would be most responsible to start any applications that we received after June 1st, because this topic started coming up. So we do have several applications, not just the Wachowskis. Sorry if I did not say that right. But we do have a few other applications that we're kind of holding on. depending on the outcome of any of these proposed changes, feeling that it's most responsible to the village residents by dating it back to June 1st. And I think in your packet, I took the 2014 program and made some redline revisions. We'd probably refine that for board consideration. If this is the way the board wishes to proceed, we could probably have it ready for the next board meeting for a resolution. I believe I found it based on resolution, not ordinance, so we would propose it as a resolution to the board.
Okay, good.
And I can answer any questions you have on this. This is kind of a brief picture sometimes, and stuff's a little bit easier to understand versus.
Good, thank you. Trustee Kuhn.
I grew up in a house that used to have sewer backup all the time. So I really, really know the consequences, the feelings. My parents' wedding pictures are gone, things that, are so important to us. So I absolutely am for any kind of program to help people keep that from happening in their house, because I realize how, you lose a lot more than, just the basement, the carpet, and stuff like that. That being said, what percentage of different, because you went through clean and check and different, and thank you so much for putting this together, because it's a lot more clearer. It's really, really helpful to us. So that's the first thing I want to say. But are those the percentages of, like, the number of people applying for permits in those areas, or what is it?
So these are not the permits. These are the active participants in the last 5 years in the actual assistance. We do have more permits, but they're not all of them seek assistance and fall into that program.
Okay.
So the 75 permits a year is looking at if we took over the main laterals to the right-of-way, that's how many repairs we had associated. It's a little bit hard to determine with our permitting software. So working with...
Which is which and where they are.
Because some of them are tied to other permits.
Okay.
But these, we keep track of everyone that applies. I think dating back, I think this program was established in the 90s. I do know my foreman over water and wastewater, he does have spreadsheets, and we keep track of all the residents that were approved and anybody that's applied over the years. And that's kind of why we're seeking that. We're starting to see some repeat customers. That's been several years that either they did a small repair or additional portions of their line are starting to decay.
Okay, so what is the longevity of a full sewer replacement repair?
It's a good question. So nowadays, most people use PVC, plastic pipe, and they're sealed gasketed, so it limits water coming in, makes it cleaner sealed connection through there. Design life of a PVC pipe is 50 years. So now I anticipate that it goes longer than that, but the design life per specification is 50 years. Additionally, with the sealed gaskets, it helps keep out intrusion. It helps keep out the I&I, but it also helps keep out tree roots. A lot of the sewers that we see here, the clay tile, which is still an acceptable form in the Illinois Plumbing Code, I believe, but they're usually joint to joint. So then you have problems with tree roots, they can crush them, and then some of them are very old. So by going to PVC, if you replace the majority, most likely you're not going to have issues in your lifetime. Like I said, PVC is relatively new material compared to clay and all these wood, some of these other materials that we use for sewers over the years. But they're anticipated for at least 50 years life.
So at this point, if you reset this, my concern is someone might not have done that in the past. Maybe 20 years ago, something was put in that was not PVC. I don't know how.
Correct, and I probably should point out the second component is we'd have to determine the start frame of the lifetime, 5,000. I would probably propose, since this is a new change to the program, that $5,000 lifetime starts at the June 1st with the ordinance change, or the resolution change.
Because that's my question. Because, I don't know when, I'm sure there's some information, but probably there's a whole bunch of residents out here who bought a house, don't know when what was done. So if we start it now and it happens from now, at least that lifetime can start, and it should give a good 50 years rejuvenation to any house, at least.
Correct, and that would be the intent, trying to go back and determine I think it would be more problematic than just restarting the clock from the new passage of the resolution.
Any other questions? Trustee Cordova?
There's two proposed changes here, right? The first one, he has a $1,500 lifetime benefit per property, and the second one is $5,000, correct? Are we making a decision today?
No, this will be put into an ordinance, and then it'll come to the board for approval.
It's like 2.5. One would be the separation, so you'd have an INI of $1,500, and then you'd have a building sewer, with the caveat that if we include the overhead sewer program, that won't count towards the $5,000 lifetime. That would be a separate entity cost associated.
Because like Dr. Ware said, the INI, if you do that, you do it once, you're pretty well done. You do the overhead sewer, you're done. So that's kind of like, those are two separate. And then the main itself, if you're replacing, if you do a spot repair, you may only replace 20, 30 feet, and then 10 years from now, the rest of it goes. So that's why it's kind of built in a little bit more.
We do have some requirements that we got away from just little spot repairs that make you do. If you're in the right-of-way, just because of village, if you're in the right-of-way, we go from the edge of right-of-way. If you go into it, we ask you to go back a curb. If you're underneath the street, we ask you to go to the main, because we only want the road tore up once. And additionally, then that ups the cost, which would make it more, which it makes more sense to up the reimbursement as well, because we are asking for residents to incur a little bit more cost so that we only dig in the road once.
Right, and if that financial burden's too much, they're just gonna let it sit. So it's advantageous for us to increase that maybe even further. And there was something you said earlier that you said to be competitive with other municipalities, actually to be comparable, because we can't say, hey, Elmhurst can come fix my thing. So it's just to be a little bit more comparable than competitive. All right, cool.
Okay. Trustee Kozar.
The lifetime benefit, I'd like to see that be per owner, not lifetime as in one property address forever, regardless of owners. Because if a new owner's come in and there's work to be done that fits into those categories because either the work was not done well, not done at all, or done partially, I think that new owner shouldn't be penalized because of what a previous owner did. So I'd like you to look at the lifetime being per ownership. I'd also like that permit fee of any of these qualifying benefits to be waived if they're doing it. We're not waiving the fact that they need a permit. We're just waiving the fact that they get a permit fee attached to that. Because I think what Jen and Kevin were saying makes sense, and I've been through it myself. That benefit is greatly reduced. So those are two things that I'd like to see. In this particular case, you mentioned that it's going to be backdated to, was it June 1st? July 1st? June 1st?
I would suggest June 1st.
Yeah.
I think the presentation was in the
I think that's fair.
First or second meeting in May. If that was proposed changes have been done, it would have been done in the first meeting in June.
And then, although we're changing this for everybody in the community to benefit from and future, I think as it pertains to Jen and Kevin's issue, I think they would qualify for a $3,500 reimbursement, plus the waiving of the permit fee, if we can do that as well. So I think directly, I think that's how that, you guys would be affected to that.
Okay, okay, so from what Trustee Kozar is saying, and we should probably get a consensus on that, if the board would like to see that on the ordinance. First off,
if I could, just, I want to make sure if Director Gora has any comment, particularly on the per owner, that has some potential risk.
There would be some budgetary concerns. Just playing devil's advocate, sometimes we do see high turnover in homes every few years, so that would reset the clock. Ideally, the thought would be per building is that, as maybe President Canzone says, if we replace a portion, obviously they should be inspected now, pass all those with permits, that it should be done correctly before it's approved, that should be in the ground for 50 years, no problems. So then the next one, if they finish it, then there should be no issues. That was a lifetime thought. Maybe another suggestion would be we could always revisit the lifetime in the future as prices go up and up that limit. The concern, just as putting out for information, would be if a home turns over, say, every 5 years, that resets the clock, how many, that ups the amount that residence, that building could get.
Does it? Because if the work is done and it's inspected, and at minimum, that's the culpability of the village. If they don't do a proper inspection and the work isn't done correctly, then it just resets itself.
Like I said, that would just be, point of thought would be, is we do have some homes that turn over, and we do have some homes that residents are in for 50 years. They live their whole life there. The the equality, I guess, amongst all residents could be point of discussion. But ultimately, this is a policy, this is a program, so it's the board's discretion of which you guys wish to see.
Trustee Corkery.
I agree with Trustee Kozar. The lifetime, getting rid of the lifetime strikes me as pretty difficult to abuse. It seems pretty unlikely, so I'd like to see the lifetime change per homeowner.
Trustee Alfano.
I would also agree with that, and my reasoning behind that is that I have spoken to, and it has my personal experience as well. My first experience seeking assistance from the village was sewer backup, and that is when we talk about customer service and we talk about being able to deal with the village and the village being helpful versus feeling like you're coming in ready for battle. I really feel like that would be something that would be helpful for our residents. I just think that it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Are you okay with waiving the fee? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I would say that the 2 points would be is with the reimbursement, that fee is included. I mean, obviously, the total cost is inclusive of the permit fee, so that is included in the reimbursement. The permit fees are typically to help cover the cost of inspections, are usually what the majority of permit fees are calculated and kind of generated off of the time of village employees to do the inspections. But at the same time, I mean, we are giving money back in terms of a reimbursement. The waiving of the fee is kind of a wash a little bit, so that ultimately that would be the decision of the board as well.
Okay. Trustee Kumar.
I mean, I'm not against waiving the fee or not. I mean, you can always set the reimbursement lower if you feel that it's too much, because it's the total cost to the village that we're worried about that. Either way, right? It doesn't matter if the fee is included or not included. It's how much does the village lose overall.
Trustee Alfano.
I know that recently the permit fees were raised. Do we have an idea? I don't recall offhand what those permit fees were, how much they were raised.
I believe this permit fee was not associated with
Was it
the
not
raise.
associated? I wasn't sure.
These are separate.
Okay, I wanted to double check.
That's a good question.
Trustee Kozar.
Deepa, I understand what you're saying, but I think just from a semantic standpoint, it's not what the village is losing, it's really what the village is gaining by encouraging residents to make these fixes. So I think what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish with just this program at large is to encourage the upgrades of the community service, of the community plumbing service, drainage, sewer service. So that waiving of the fee we want to maximize what we can give to our residents. We want to encourage them to get this job done, modernize, what was old infrastructure. And it benefits everybody as a community. So whatever we can do to encourage that.
Sorry.
Is useful.
I'm
No,
sorry,
please.
I was going to make one point of clarification. There are 2 fees, just so that residents are aware. We do require a bond if it's a contractor working in right-of-way. That would not be waived. The permit fee would be the regular permit fee. However, the bond does get refunded once we come out, except that money goes back. That's just protection in case something happens in our right-of-way to other utilities that we have we have resources to go take care of it if the contractor leaves. So if we do choose to waive, it would just be the permit fee, the bond would still be in place. I just want to point that out because it's like a $1,200 bond that gets tacked on, but that gets refunded once the project's been closed out and completed. Just for clarification for residents so they don't get confused if this goes forward and then they see that bond come on. I just wanted to point that out.
Just go to
Yeah, I agree with Trustee Kozar, where this is a service. We need these people to do their, their due diligence with their homes. Sticking someone with, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 of a cost, that hurts families here in Villa Park, right? That's, if you have 3, 4 kids, that's camp, that's daycare, that's a lot. So unexpected costs like this hurts our people. So I'm okay with everything we have here. Basically where I'm at.
I'm sorry to ask my own staff a question here, but I'm trying to remember if there was an issue with, I have no problem with us in the package including the waiving of the fee. Instead of a $3,500, it would essentially be $3,850 or whatever the cost of the permit might be. But is there a reason why we need them to apply and pay for the permit up front and before we ever have, we are approving the reimbursement program? Because that's the thing that, I want to have the...
That's a fair point. I understand where you're going.
That in the end, if they qualify for the reimbursement, that they get that. I think there's nothing wrong. I think it does go to really getting the full $3,500, but I'm trying to remember if that was an issue.
So maybe to walk through the application process a little bit. If it's a known backup, slow backup, different items with maybe a slow break, where the resident still has service, and that service meaning it still drains, maybe it's draining slowly. In order to apply, they fill out an application that's online now-ish. We're looking to update it maybe to be a little bit more streamlined, but at least the paper copy is available online. They fill that out, or you can call my staff. I believe it's Viviana now. And you fill out that pre-application. You do ask for 2 estimates up front, if it's a plan one, because you'll get the reimbursement on the lower estimate. You can use whoever you wish to use. You don't have to use the lowest estimate, but we will base the $3,500 50% reimbursement on the lowest bid, or the lowest estimate. We always encourage all residents in those situations. These are big investments, like is being discussed, as Trustee Cordova said, to get 2 or 3, make sure that you're getting a fair price. And in those situations, we do have time and planning a little bit, so we can go through the application, review it, approve them beforehand, so they know they're getting the reimbursement once they're completed. Other situations, unfortunate, all of a sudden they have no service, and it's an emergency where they need to have service. In those situations, they can call in and let us know, begin the process, and we issue the permit on the back end. We do want permits on everything. They still need to call in. They still need to do it. We still try to recommend getting 2 bids in an emergency situation if you can, but in emergency situations, we do have the ability to waive the second estimate, but we do call, you have to call in, and it has to be verified by our staff that it's an emergency. And I would say 90% of the times when it is an emergency like that, the residents are calling because they don't have service. They don't know why they have service. So we can verify that, yes, they don't have service. It's not the main that's clogged. It's not a village issue that's causing the issue. It's an issue in their line. And so those are pretty well documented. So in terms of, I guess, the permit, on these situations, it's 50-50. It's up front, the best is to have the 2 estimates, apply for the permit, go through the whole process. If they have service. If they don't have service, we do allow for them to call in and start the permit process within 24 hours of the repair, once it's been verified that it's an emergency. I want to stress, we do want to verify it. Secondly, that's also protection for the residents, that they're getting something that they're paying for. There could be situations where they're led to believe that maybe it's an emergency, where it may not be emergency and cannot get a second quote. And these are large expenses. I know the Grashkis can probably testify. And everyone said that they're not cheap. It's not a couple $100s. It's a few $1,000s. So I guess that's a long answer, if that answers anything.
Okay, thank you. Just goes there.
I think it's reasonable, to Manager Harline's point, pay for the permit fee up front Because if for some reason you don't follow through with the program or the repair is changed in some way and it no longer qualifies for this, now the village is out chasing permit fees. So pay for it up front, get it refunded when you qualify, and when you close out the permit, it's finally inspected, everything's done the way that it should be, and the village puts its stamp of approval on. Seems
We can do
very
that,
reasonable.
modify the program to say $3,500 plus additional refund of permit fees, associated permit fees, if that's the sole session of the board.
Trustee Patrick.
In the instance of an emergency situation where a resident might need to contact the village, does the village have a list or make certain recommendations of people that they can get 2 quotes from in an emergency situation?
We do have a list. We will not provide recommendations. And that's solely because we don't want to get into preferential treatment or any of those. But we do have lists of contractors that are licensed in the village that we can supply residents. But in terms of like recommendations, we do not provide recommendations.
So in that case, then, if they don't know where to go, the village can say, here's our list, you can call one of these resources to help you get those quotes.
Correct. We can provide the list, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
Is there a reason we cannot publish that list?
I think I may defer to Council
No, there
Wolf on
might
this one.
be, I just don't know.
That's not correct.
So you can't create a list of preferred vendors. I think Director Guerra is talking about a list of vendors that are licensed in the village, and if there is such a document, that is a public document. However, to create a list of preferred vendors from a legal perspective is not recommended.
Trustee Alfano.
So, Attorney Wolf, are you saying that if we post that list, it would be seen as a list of preferred vendors over just a list of licensed vendors?
I think that it would look like an endorsement from the village with respect to a particular vendor, and that could cause problems for the village.
Got it.
So is it not, I feel
Trustee
like,
Kumar.
I'm sorry. Melissa, is it not better to keep from giving that list out? I mean, having a list even? Because that also is similar.
I guess there's 2 things. So in our permitting software, we have to have licensed contractors. That's part of the actual permit requirement. So as Ms. Wolf's saying, it is a public document because it is a list created that we have. So if we were requested, it would be similar to a FOIA that we could release that list. We just don't hand it out because of the implementations that it could cause, but if it's requested, it could be seen as like a FOIA type request where we can hand it out. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Wolf.
That's correct.
Yep. Trustee Alfano.
But what I would say to that, though, is as a resident who did have an emergency situation where it was pouring and we had backup in our basement and we did need that list very quickly, and we were newer residents, it was within a year of moving, we needed to know who we could call, and it was really helpful to have that list of
I just,
licensed.
I understand. I understand.
So I
what
would,
you're saying.
I would
I'm just-
refrain from not having that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll split this up. Can we get a consensus waiving the application fee? However it's done, either paid up front and then refunded
The permit fee.
the permit fee. So we can get a consensus on that? Clerk Konecki?
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. And then consensus on limiting or changing it from, or making it where the limit, the dollar limit is per ownership instead of per house, per location. We get consensus on that. Clerk Konecki.
Okay, say that one more time. That's for, The lifetime.
Yeah, the lifetime limit.
Limit, yes,
would be just to the owner of the property.
Right,
Not
okay.
placed onto the property.
Yes, thank you. Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Casella?
Yes. Okay, so we'll get that out for staff. They will create that ordinance. Okay, item 13C, we have moved to our next meeting. 13D is a discussion about liquor license upgrades, and we just have one, and we have the owner of the Vine here who would like to change her liquor license from a beer and wine only to a full liquor package. I don't know if, Deb, if you'd like to speak on that, or
I mean, suffered through 2 hours, you might as well get a chance to.
Actually, I really enjoyed it. I have to say, a little less than a month from now will be 2 years that Demito's been open, or 20 years that Demito's been open.
Wow.
And it took me a couple years to actually get Demito's open, so I've been in this room a lot.
I'm sorry, you're
Am I
supposed to
talking too
say your
quiet?
name.
Oh, I'm
for the
sorry.
record. Sorry.
Debbie Demito, you want my address and stuff?
You don't have to.
Okay. Anyway, so I'd like to say, after all the boards that I have not been that involved with the politics of Villa Park, but I have to say, I am really proud of you guys. I just love you guys, the way you guys are working together. You're really working for Villa Park, and I was tempted to put my hand up a half a dozen times and put my 2 cents and see if I could offer some ideas or suggestions on probably stuff I don't understand. So, going to Divine. Divine is doing well. I applied and received the liquor license in 2019, and like everybody else, weathered through COVID and finally got it open about 6 months ago. It's doing very well. I think the community enjoys it. We enjoy serving the community. But we do have some events, and a lot of people, I noticed that it's completely different than a regular bar or like Demito's. Different type of clientele. So it's very relaxed, very chill, but I'm getting a lot of requests for like showers and weddings. We actually have a wedding scheduled, different types of parties. And they might have a majority of their guests that only drink wine or beer, but there's always a few that would like a Manhattan or a martini, and I'd like to be able to book these parties and have these people take care of them 100%. So I'm asking if I can upgrade my liquor license to a full liquor license and still keep it in the theme that it is. It seems to be working out well, so thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Deb. Okay. Trustee Patrick. I'd just like to comment really quick. First of all, over the years, I've seen how you've run your business. I've seen the new addition of Divine, and these are all great assets to our community. It brings people to our community. And you had mentioned that you would you were going to raise your hand a few times to give your 2 cents worth and to talk about that. And a business owner like yourself is exactly the type of people that we need on our commissions. Thank you. You have the ideas, you've been doing it with your businesses, you have the ideas that can bring people to Villa Park. So I'm just going to ask of you that we try to find you a spot on one of the commissions if you see interested. If we have vacancy or availability in any of those commissions, that
thank you.
Raise your hand, be one of those to apply for it, because like I said, a business owner like yourself is in the know. You're our boots on the ground. You're doing this on the daily, and your ideas could be extremely beneficial to our commissions that report back to us. So that's my only suggestion.
It's not a condition for the license, though.
No.
Do you want to hear one of my ideas?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you guys were suggesting, and I thought about this years ago, because I was practically born and raised in Villa Park, and I love our community, and I've seen it grow, and it's doing amazing. thanks to all of you guys. Anyway, so when you guys were suggesting about the public television, which I very rarely pay attention to it either, but it made me think of something that I thought of a long time ago. Somebody very wealthy and very wise had told me a long time ago, they said, you have to take care of home base first, then you can take care of everybody else if you choose to. So when you guys were talking about the public television, and you really taught me a lot tonight, I was thinking, well, that would be a great opportunity. And don't take this the wrong way, but I was thinking if we were needing funds to have somebody to do the camera or the filming of it, what if we put it out to our village businesses to offer for them to pay for not marketing ideas, but almost like a commercial where we would pay for a commercial. And I've always felt like if you have a business in Villa Park, if you were able to, and I don't know if this is legal, but if you were able to offer our community a discount to a Villa Park resident. So say they were to watch, and I love the idea of showing our kids with football and the flag football. I think that's amazing. There's just so many things that we do here that are a lot of fun. And I think it's growing and it's getting better and our community is getting better. But if we have, say, our business owners or anybody that was able to, say, purchase advertising space where they would put, for example, Divine, you are, whatever I would put on there and say, if you saw this commercial and you're a resident of Villa Park, come on in for buy one, get one free, or a 20% for your party or something like that. So that would encourage people in Villa Park to watch this, because I think we should, and I regret not being more involved in what goes on in Villa Park and paying more attention to it. But that would encourage people because they would also be getting something out of it.
And go ahead. Thank you. And to that point, though, too, I think you all have very great ideas. You have a lot to offer as well. And it just kind of reminds me of what one of our commissioners on the Fun Commission, Leslie Allison CI, did. She created a program called Now You Know. And what she did is she went to local businesses and interviewed the owners, and it brought attention to the business, but not necessarily what they're offering, but who they are and their history. And I think that's really important too. Now, the village does have to be careful of advertising, especially because that also goes into showing favoritism and things like that. So there's a fine line that we have there. But the ideas that you're coming up with are spot on for what we need. And like in our earlier conversations regarding the Video Production Commission, it's an asset that we're underutilizing. And I think there's a lot of cross-working with our commissions as well. But again, I think you have great ideas, and I think that even if you can't find a spot on one of the commissions, come to one of the meetings and speak under public comments and just keep doing this. Eventually, one of those spots will open. But again, thank you for being here tonight and talking about this. We just got to find a way to put you to work, too.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I just a quick question. Do we have to vote?
I just would like to get a consensus if the board would be willing to vote, once the application comes here.
Yeah, I'd be for that, 100%.
Trustee Quirk?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay, yeah, we'll get it sounds like,
Me too.
yeah.
Me too.
No, I've been to Divine several times, and it's a really nice atmosphere. It's very quiet, it's very peaceful, and it's set up, and for an old auto repair place, you've done a great job in remodeling it. It looks great. Okay, Clerk Kornecki.
Okay, and this is to increase the...
This would be if the
change the
board would be in
liquor
favor of Ms. Demito increasing her license to a full package.
To full package, okay, thank you. Okay, Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Recusing.
Yeah, recused, thank you. And President Casson?
Yes. Okay, so we'll look
Thank
for
you,
the application.
everybody.
Great, thanks.
Good evening.
Okay, we'll go on to item 14, the Village Commission reports, which are in everyone's package. The Community Fund Commission, the Environmental Concerns Commission, including the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee, the Environmental Concerns Commission, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission, which are all in the package. Item 15, Village Clerk's Report.
No report.
Report, okay.
Thank you.
Village Trustees Report, we will start with Trustee Patrick tonight.
Thank you, everybody. First of all, I have a few things. I'll start out with a couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure and the opportunity to take a ride along with our village building inspector, Danita, and I have to tell you that it was something that I am recommending that all board members do and future board members partake in. Very eye-opening experience. It really gave me a better idea of how they operate and how they run their department. And it kind of dispelled some of the common misconceptions of building inspections as well, that as an elected official up here that helps make decisions towards things that affect the village regarding, building inspections and whatnot. It gave me a better understanding of what the misconceptions are and what they really, and what the facts really are. So I want to say that to the director, thank you for allowing me to do that. It was very eye-opening. I really appreciate that. There was a lot to be learned from that. I do have some follow-up questions. I won't bog you down with them now, but please let Danita know that it was, and we spent 4 hours together that day. We went to multiple properties, and she kind of showed me the ropes. So it was very informative, and I'm very appreciative of it. And my recommendation to the board is to get out there and do the same thing. And for future board members, maybe the village manager could implement that into future board members' onboarding packet or what have you. So that was that. Second of all, this last season, I had the opportunity to coach the 5th and 6th grade Villa Park Youth Warriors flag football team. The season came to an end this last week, and I have to say that it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I had mentioned earlier that the program itself has almost doubled in size from previous years, and even this year, there was more and more people that are becoming more and more interested in this program, and I believe that this program is going to evolve into something really big and beneficial for our village. So I just want to thank the Villa Park Youth Flag Football Warrior program for allowing me to coach for a season. The kids had an amazing time. It was a great experience for them. Y'all got trophies. They had a great time. And then also thanks to Willowbrook for allowing us to have our last game of the season on a Saturday night under the lights on the varsity field. The kids loved that. It was a great experience, and I think those are the types of things that draw attention to those types of programs and to Villa Park. So thank you to Villa Park Youth Flag Football for allowing me that opportunity. Also, as that season has ended, I have also been given the opportunity to coach the Villa Park Junior Warriors 8th grade basketball team. This is my first year doing this, but coming into this program, I have seen that they are on a similar trajectory as what our flag football program is doing. And so one of the recommendations that I'm going to ask of the village is that the village, prior to the grand opening of our new recreation center, maybe just contact the program just to see how we can better utilize our gym space. Right now, I believe that the basketball program is utilizing courts at Willowbrook as well as District 45. But with the addition of the new recreation center, the new space, it's only going to allow us to expand those programs as well. So that's the recommendation that I'm asking of the village for that. Lastly, Halloween's coming. I know our hours are a little bit later than usual, but again, I think that provides us the opportunity to reach out to the parents and the families that might not work a traditional 9 to 5 or have the opportunities to get home right away to spend spend the holiday with their kids and staying up late at night. Again, I think Trustee Kozar at the last meeting mentioned this, is that even though it's late, if you don't want to participate, just turn your light off, and that is how we identify which houses are participating or not. So be safe out there. Have a happy Halloween. I know our police department's going to be out there. I don't know if the fire department's going to be out there, but in years past, both have and have done a great job. I've gotten lots of feedback from residents about how fun it is to have police out there. I believe Cordell was out there at one time with music on the overhead speaker, passing out candy or stickers. And again, those types of things from our fire departments only enhance our community outreach. And when we build that community, it helps support everybody here, and it is a great asset to our community. So thank you. Please be safe out there and have a happy Halloween. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Cordova?
No report.
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Want to just do a quick shout out to Officer Ruby. We had a small issue. He went above and beyond, did a really good job. He consistently does a good job. So, this is also to your benefit. Chief Rivas, thank you. You do good work, and your officers do good work. As Halloween approaches, the Boy Scouts are selling their annual pumpkin fundraiser over at Fuel and Creme. So if you don't have a pumpkin yet or you need another one, stop by and support the Boy Scouts. They do a good job as well. So that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Alfano?
Thank you. I know that this past Friday, Parks and Rec held their Halloween happening. My family was not able to attend this year, but we have attended in the past, and we have always had a good time. Everybody tends to have a really good time there, so thank you for setting that up and arranging that again. It is always something that kids look forward to. Villa Avenue Trick or Treat, I believe, is Saturday. From 1 to 3 is trick-or-treating at the Villa Avenue businesses. Thank you to those businesses who participate. And then 3 to 4 is the costume contest at Cortese. I don't know who's judging this year. Anybody? Are you judging this year?
One of them.
Oh, okay.
So I look forward to that as well. That's also something that's really fun to look forward to.
All the celebrities.
All the celebrities
that
from
aren't
Villa
elected.
Park will be
That aren't
there.
elected.
And
Taylor
then,
Swift's coming?
Of the village. Late leadership.
Never know.
and then as it's already been mentioned, we have our trick-or-treating from 4 to 8. And it's one of my favorite evenings, not because I like Halloween, because my family will tell you I don't. But I do love that in Villa Park, it does kind of bring the block party feel. And so we do get to see our neighbors, especially when it's warmer. So hopefully we'll have nice weather. And people are out and about, and we just get to see our neighbors and socialize. So I hope everyone stays safe and have a good Halloween.
Thank you. Trustee Kumar?
Well, Halloween is one of my favorite events. I do think I like to decorate my house. Villa Park is lit right now. Every house, everybody who comes to visit me from other towns is like, what is going on in Villa Park? So I love it. Only thing, I can't get the lights I need. Someone has bought us all out. But thank you all of Villa Park for being so festive and happy during this season. I only ask that the children stay safe. I know the candy coming in the baskets is very, very tempting. Wait to get home, wait to have it checked. Our police officers and our fire personnel have done a great job in the past keeping our kids safe. So, but we have to do our due diligence, be a little careful. Don't go out really alone. If you can have someone go with you, go with someone else, go as a group. I hope to see you at my door. I will have a lot of chocolate for you. Nobody wants to climb the hill, but I'll wait for you there. So all of Villa Park, please come out.
All I heard was chocolate at your house. I'm
Be
sorry.
there. Oh, no, we have a lot more.
That's the only part. The rest, I heard chocolate, and I
Little
missed the
tricks,
rest of them.
Screaming wolves, whatever you want.
Okay. Trustee Corkery?
I'd just say everyone have a safe and happy Halloween. I hope we get a lot of trick-or-treaters. We had like 3 pounds of leftover Snicker bars last year, and I had to eat them all myself. So
There you go.
hope that doesn't happen again, and everyone's safe and doesn't get too scared out there.
Okay, Village President's Report, a few things. Free leaf pickup started
today in Villa Park, and that will run till the week of December 4th. And this year, you don't have to use the craft bags. You can put them in regular garbage cans, and they will pick those up for free. You don't need a sticker on them this year.
Up to 35
Up to 35 gallon. Okay, so the big ones we have now, you can't use.
I think there's a weight requirement too.
Yeah, it's usually about 50 pounds.
Yeah.
40, okay.
Yeah.
So with the
No
leaves starting to fall, take advantage of that. This Thursday, which is October 26th, at 5:30 at Lufkin Park, there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the new improvements that are going there. The pond has been expanded. That looks great. And so the groundbreaking will be this Thursday, 5:30. So show up and see what's going on there. The Union Pacific Crossing at Addison Road, if anyone's traveled there today, it was closed today for repairs, and that will be closed, I believe, until Wednesday. So hopefully they get that done. UP is usually pretty good. They keep in their schedule. So Addison Road, the UP crossing will be closed until Wednesday evening. This Saturday, the 28th, the Junior Women's Club is having their 5K run on the Prairie Path by the gazebo. That will start at 9 o'clock, and then when that race is done, I believe they'll have a 1-mile kids run, as they did last year. That's this Saturday, October 28th. And as everyone has said already, have a great Halloween, enjoy it, but be safe, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. We'll go to the village manager's report.
Well, you took almost everything off my list. The only thing I want to say is I want to thank the department heads and the rest of the staff that helped prepare the materials for last Monday night's budget session. I just want to thank you while people are still watching. I think you did a fantastic job, and I hope it was valuable to the board as well. That's it.
Okay. We have no executive session this evening, so if we can have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Cordova, we have a second. Trustee Kumar. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will see you, everyone, back here in 3 weeks.